My name is James Barden, B-A-R-D-E-N.
Mm-hmm. And what is your birthday?
My birthday is 7/8/32, July 8, 1932.
Where were you born?
I was born in Newark, New Jersey.
Tell me about your family when you were growing up, including your siblings.
I didn't have siblings, it was just myself.
You are the only son?
Yeah.
Wow.
Only son. Well, it was a depression time. I grew up during that. I grew up in South Providence. I grew up in Providence, South Providence, and it was uneventful. To you probably, it was very eventful to me. But I went to St. Michael's School for 9 years. Then I went on to LaSalle Academy. I did the normal things. Broke my arm a couple of times. I did all that stuff. I mean, I was hit by a car once. But I guess that's growing up, part of growing up. And basically, that was about it until I graduated from high school. I graduated from high school in 1950.
1950?
That's when the war started. I'm sure
What's the name of high school?
LaSalle.
Huh?
LaSalle.
LaSalle?
LaSalle. L-A, 2 words. L-A-S-A-L-L-E.
Mm-hmm.
It's right down the road.
Right here?
Right down the road on Smith Street, yes.
And did you know anything about Korea around the time that you graduated?
No, I didn't know Korea. I didn't know what it was. I thought it was, I had no idea. It didn't matter. It didn't really matter. I got out of high school and I had no prospects. College wasn't something that you went to in 1950 for a kid coming out of.
How did you come to know about the breakdown of Korean War, breakout?
When I joined the service, probably.
When did you join?
1950.
Yeah, but month?
I graduated in August. In August 1950.
Uh-huh.
August 16, 1950, I graduated.
You graduate, and then you immediately joined the Army? Or
That's
the
when
Air
I went
Force?
into the Army. I graduated
May.
I graduated in June.
June.
I turned 18 in July, and I went into the service in August.
August 16.
August 16, yes.
And you joined the Air Force?
I joined the Air Force.
Why? Why Air Force?
Well, it's interesting. First of all, I joined with two other fellas.
Your friend?
Two friends. It was my idea because I was going to go one way or the other. It didn't really matter. My uncle had been in the Air Force in World War II.
Your uncle?
Promoted, or he'd lived with us. And actually, I called the Marine Corps recruiting office because I thought the enlistment was 3 years. But it wasn't, it was 4 years, same as the Air Force. So I went into the Air Force. Everybody goes into the Air Force with the intention of wanting to fly. The chances of flying is very, very slim, see. but when I did go into the Air Force, after basic training, they sent me to radio operator school. And when I graduated from it, of course, when the war had started, everything was sort of accelerated as far as the military is concerned. Basic training was shortened up a little bit. The radio operator school was 8 months. But we went 7 days a week, 6 days a week, 6 hours a day, so they got it down to 7 months, so they shortened it by a month.
What did you learn there?
I learned Morse code, I learned radio procedures, I learned how to type. Because it was a ground radio operator school, we only had one radio operator, it was a ground, so I had to learn how to type it, although I was never going to use it. And that was my downfall as far as taking code, because I was learning both of them at the same time. It was very dangerous. My fingers were going through the keys and everything. But anyway, when I graduated from radio operator school, I did well. And they offered me an instructor position there. Huh. So I could have stayed in Mississippi for the rest of my career. But that's not why I joined the Air Force. I didn't join my Air Force to teach school. I hated school. That was the last thing I wanted to do. So I turned that down, and my next opportunity would be to fly, would be in the Air Force. And the last opportunity was to be an intercept operator, which no one wanted that position. So that's basically how I got to where I got.
So you got the training for pilot?
No. The people who were going to be pilots were being trained.
Right. But what did you get there?
I got to learn how to fly in an airplane. I learned what it's like to be in an airplane. Well, I had other responsibilities besides being a radio operator once I got there.
Okay, so you were the radio operative within the.
Within the crew,
Right.
11-man crew, and I
Got
was
it.
it. I was the only one guy.
Yep,
A lot of responsibility for a kid.
yep. So mostly, what is the job description? What do you mean by radio operation within airplane? What do you mean?
There was a main. At that time, we didn't have satellites. You didn't have GPS. You didn't have even, in fact, communications was rather basic. Rather basic.
Had you had any hunch that you would be end up serving during the Korean War?
Oh yeah. Once I got assigned to a crew, they were replacement crews, basically. Some went. Some went to air refueling. They were using B-29s then for air refueling.
Yeah.
They weren't really designed for it, but they could do it. Some went to air refueling, and basically other than that, it was a bomber. So you went to a bomb squadron. Maybe a few were weather airplanes, but chances of getting that was pretty slim. Basically, you were going to go on a bomber, and the bomber was only going to go one place. It wasn't going to Florida. You know what I mean?
What was your aircraft?
A B-29.
B-29.
A B-29, yes.
So how many crews in the B-29? 11?
11, yeah.
Can you describe the jobs for 11 people? 2 pilots, right?
2 pilots.
Uh-huh.
Bombardier.
Uh-huh.
Bombardier up in front. Navigator.
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 Yeah. One.
One.
Yeah.
Flight engineer. Monitored the engines.
Ah.
Took care of the fuel. He took care of it. Took care of the run of the airplane.
Yeah.
And then you had 4 gunners.
4 gunners.
4 gunners. And then you had a radar officer who was basically a navigator in a sense, but he worked in the back of the airplane.
So when did you leave United States to Japan?
I left in. I left in February.
February.
February 1952.
And where did you arrive in Japan?
I arrived in Japan on the 29th of February, leap year.
Where?
I landed in Yokota Air Force Base.
What?
Yokota. Yokota. Y-O-K-A.
Yokota.
Yokota.
Mm-hmm.
I-K-O-T-A. Yeah, I think.
So your case is a special. You've never been in the Korean theater, right?
No. And the war started in 1950. So initially, the bombing started before I got there, and any hard targets, by that I mean a business, industry.
So you've been
already
flying to Korean Peninsula and bombed
Yes,
as a team?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes, 30 times.
yeah. 30 times?
30 times. 30 times, yes.
Tell me about this typical day that you take off from your Koda airport and go to Korean Peninsula. Tell me those routine detail, okay? And where did you go and where did you bomb and how did you find it out that it's been done and so on? Tell me the detail.
Well, okay, I'll tell you what I know.
Yeah.
You know, if you've ever been in the military, any classified or any information is on a need to know. And the crew members, the gunners, and the radio operator didn't really have a need to know. So a lot of times we didn't even find out what the target was until the last minute because it didn't matter. It didn't matter. The navigator had to know. The pilots had to know.
Yeah.
If you didn't have to know to do your job, then don't worry about telling you. But anyway, I'll tell you what I know.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I know. A typical day. We would get up, whatever, 7, 6, 7, whatever. I don't remember the time. You know, do breakfast. We go out to the flight line. Always as a crew. We did everything as a crew. Always as a crew. Always on duty. We're on duty 24 hours a day. And if they needed an airplane, they went to the flight engineer, and he had to know where everybody was. We had to be not too far away. So we all go down there. We pre-flight the airplane. Pre-flight means going through I would check all the radio equipment, make sure the headsets work, and what I could check, you know, make sure the radio worked. Till noon time, we come back and eat. We go to briefing in the right after that. The first briefing was how much fuel to put on the airplane, how many bombs you're going to carry, all those things. Then we go back and we accomplish that. They would get the fuel put on, bombs would be loaded. My job at that time was to put the fuses in the front bomb bay. Front bomb bay contained 20 bombs, the rear bomb 20, or maybe 19 if they carried. If they were going to take pictures, they had flares they would drop. So and at the 20 bombs, they had two ends, two bombs, two flares, two fuses to a bomb. Bombs were big. I don't know how big you see them. Very crowded in the bomb bay. B-29 is not made for creature comfort. It was hot as hell in there, like an oven. You go in, you take out a fuse. There's a plug on the end, both ends, covered with cosmoline, so you ended up getting cosmoline over your hands. You take that out and put the fuse in. Put the fuse in. You had on the rack, the bomb rack, there was two wires that come out. You stuck the wire through the fuse, put a clip on the end, so the little propeller wouldn't turn. You did the same on the other end, fuse on the nose, fuse on the rear. So you put 40 of those fuses in there, and somebody else did the aft bomb bay. Then by that time we got to be later on, right in the afternoon, we go back, maybe get something else to gain, because we always flew at night. We go back. We have final briefing. Final briefing was where the target was, if there was any, what they anticipated, how much any aircraft fire you might get, depending on what it was. And then it was that we take off in the evening, sunset, and we
Wow, so taking almost whole day to prepare.
I get back at sunrise in the morning. I get back at sunrise.
And then you take off during the sunset.
Sunset, yeah.
Why is that? Because
wanted
it
to
takes
fly at
time
night.
to prepare, or
No.
do you?
We wanted they timed it basically for how if there was a moon factor on our sky cover, we were very vulnerable to fighters, very vulnerable to these.
So you choose to fly to Korea and do operation during the night so
Yeah.
that you're not detected.
We had a better chance. They lost a number of airplanes a couple of months before I got there because if they're flying in the day, they sent up I think it was 9 airplanes, and 3 of them got shot down, and
Wow.
the other 5 were severely damaged out of it. So
Wow.
then they switched all night after that.
Overnight operation.
Yeah, until they went back to days. Went around once they got. The problem was getting fighter cover. We couldn't get fighter cover to go north. So it was all night flying at that time.
So how long did it take to get to the Korean Peninsula from your air base?
Well, the missions over back and to what you had to do, average 9 hours.
9 hours.
Average 9 hours. So it depended on where you were going. You know, if you're further north, you went actually, it was going to be slower. There were some missions we flew. The 98th, am I all right? Yeah. The 98th bomb group was assigned the
What was your unit again?
98
98 bomber unit?
bomb wing.
Bomb wing.
Bomb wing, yes. 345th Bomb Squadron.
I'm sorry?
345th, 345 Bomb Squadron.
345th.
Bomb Squadron. Had 3 squadrons. 3 squadrons in the wing.
Yeah.
And I forgot where I was going. Where were we?
So you were about to take off now, sunset.
Well, yeah, we would take off at sunset. We'd fly, we wouldn't pressurize yet. B-29 was pressurized. You could pressurize the airplane. The prior ones in World War II, they didn't pressurize. B-17 never pressurized.
Right.
And so we stayed relatively low until we got to the coast of Japan. Once we got over the coast of Japan, they would test fire the guns once they go over the water, make sure the guns work. Before they pressurized, I'd have to go out in the bomb bay. Now, I got all those fuses got a cotter pin in there. So you got the propeller, and it's the little piece of metal behind it. They're lined up together, and they put the cotter pin through there so the propeller's not going to turn. So I had to go out and pull out 40 cotter pins.
Wow.
They had a little tag on them. that old tag, and what I would do when I put the fuse in, I bent the cotter pin so that they weren't really bent over. They were sort of like it on an angle, so I could grab the card and pull it out, and the whole thing would come out. So I'd have to pull those 40 out, and then get back inside, and then you pressurize,
Yeah.
and then that was it. We continued on our way, and as a radio operator, I'm the only one in the airplane who couldn't see what the hell was going on. Excuse my language, because there was no window there. I didn't have a window at all. I had nothing to see. Although I will say this because you can't arrest me now, but there was right where I sat like this, right here. Right here was a bulkhead. The bomb bay was right here, bomb bay door, very tight squeeze. But right here was a tunnel. That's how you get to the rear of the airplane. 30 foot long, 3 feet in diameter. And that's how you got to the rear. And right at the front of it, where you could sit at the end of the tunnel with your feet hanging down, right there was a plastic dome that the navigator used to shoot the stars. And I would sit there. I couldn't see down, but I could see generally around. And I would get up there, especially when we got over the target, because if we were going to get hit, I wanted to see it coming every now. You know. But basically, some of them went to bad marching yards. We bombed marching yards. We bombed Pyongyang. We bombed the capital twice.
You did?
Yeah.
When was it?
Say again?
When was it? Remember, around approximately?
I could give you the dates. I got them all at home, but I don't have them with me. I got my flight record that all the missions I flew. Yeah.
Ah.
They kept it for me. They kept it when I was there, and when I got discharged, I kept taking it with me every place.
So it must be in 1952, right?
It was all 1952.
1952.
It all
You did
happened in 1952.
Pyongyang, and any other city name that you remember?
I don't offhand. They used to write the city down when they wrote the log, when they filled the log out, but then they just started putting Korea, and I don't remember. If I looked at a map, I probably would come to mind.
Okay. How accurate your bombing was? Can you tell me?
I don't know.
I mean, what is the height and how many?
We bombed between, I'd say between, say 23 to 28,000 feet, in that range. That's about as high as we could go because of the weight of the bombs. We went maximum weight, most weight we could carry. So in the summertime, when the air is heavy, and the conditions aren't well enough for flying, I guess, I don't know. We had to carry less fuel sometimes because they weren't going to take bombs off, so we carried a less. So we really, with all that weight in the weather, we couldn't get up much higher than that.
I see.
Without struggling. Which with the bombs, once we dropped the bombs, we could.
Right.
So sometimes we had to stay on target, stay on course after we dropped, because they had cameras on board, and the cans we would drop flares. The last station was flares, and they would set off the camera. So we had to stay for another minute and change. So sometimes if we were getting somebody firing at you, we still couldn't move, stay there, but we could go up higher. So we could go up almost 30,000 feet to get away from some of that sometimes.
Were there any way to verify your bombing?
Yeah. Oh, they had another squadron that went out and took pictures. Oh yeah, see that was.
So they could see the accuracy there, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They had another squadron that went out, and that was their job: take pictures. See. I mean, when we flew a normal night, a normal bomb run, we would put up. We had three units, 3 bomb units, 1 in Japan, 2 in Okinawa, and they rotated. We had 3 squadrons in the wing. So when I turned to fire, each squadron put up 3 airplanes, so we put up 9 airplanes. So if you wanted to see the results, you had to go in after the whole 9 dropped, actually. So to take individual pictures, but maybe 12, but it's kind of hard to pull and get them all together, so it's easy just to let them drop. Come in, whenever they come in, I don't know how they did it, maybe in daylight they made it come in. Probably come in at the higher altitudes, they didn't have any weight, and took pictures, so they evaluated it that way. So I don't.
Were there any enemy aircraft attacking yours? Tell me.
If a MiG encountered you didn't have much of a chance, because the B-29 wasn't made for fighting jet airplanes. So we were fortunate. And that was the stress factor. The stress factor was you didn't know where they were. You didn't know. There was no way, nobody warned that there was airplanes in the air.
Right.
You didn't know they were there until they started hitting you. So fortunately, we never got hit by mates. We had the prop ribbon. I guess they were yaks.
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 Yeah. The Russians.
Russian. What they did is we were told never to fire unless you were being hit, because when you fire the 50 caliber, you got a flame that come out the end of the barrel, and that's what they wanted you to do. They tried to draw your fire so they could get close to you. Radar could get them close to you, but their radar wasn't that good for what it was explained to me. It wasn't that good, so that the little reticle in the center, the very center, what identifies you, was large. It was actually, in essence, in real world, a 2-mile radius. So they could get within maybe a 2-mile radius of you. But what they would do is they would sit out there and put on searchlights. You wouldn't even see them. You wouldn't know they were there. We had one gunner who had excellent eyes, and he would see these things in the pitch black, and he'd say, something's there, something's there. They would put the searchlights on to draw your fire. We wouldn't fire at them, because they said they weren't bothering us, really. We knew they were there. And they would fire. They'd fire some rockets a couple of times. They fired parallel to us, but they were maybe a half mile away, half a mile. I don't know. It's hard to judge distance at that. So, yeah, that was the counter fighters, basically, but we never really anti-aircraft was basic. The bomb run, let me explain the bomb run. The bomb run is the tense part of the whole thing. That's what you were there for. And the initial point is where you started your bomb run, which is a place that's picked. I mean, once you flew in your bomb run, you stayed in your altitude, course, airspeed. Nothing changed. We went over there in 3 minutes apart. So we used to fly in trail 3 minutes apart. Once the first plane went over, they knew where the target was. So everybody behind it was more or less fair game, because if you're the last guy, they've been shooting at these guys at the same track. So the chances are worse than if you're the first one.
So
you flew, and that's usually where the aircraft was, no matter what it was. Marshland Yard, may only be a few guns, but it was all aimed at you. There was only one airplane up there they were trying to get. Then the searchlights, they had searchlights also. Searchlights were if they caught you in the searchlights, you were bad, hurting, because then they could zero in on you, But the bomb run ran about 6 minutes, I guess, 6-7 minutes.
have you been ever hit?
We got hit a couple of times. Nothing serious.
Nothing serious.
Nothing serious. We got damage, but the scary part of the whole thing was it only takes one hit, because we had, besides the ammunition and fuel, we had oxygen on board, because we were pressurized, so we had oxygen, which exposed also pretty good. So, that was the bomb run, and then once you get out of there, then you repeat it back.
Very stressful, right?
It was very stressful. Yeah,
you don't know when and where, how you're going to hit by the enemies, unknown, and you had to deal with that.
When I left Japan, when I was flying, I got a rash. In this area here. It wasn't on the private part, but it was right here, and it itched, and it started to leak. It was terrible. I went to a sick hall. And they gave me foot powder or something. They said it was the
foot
heat.
powder?
They said it was the heat. Yeah. It made cement, because the things were leaking. It was terrible. And I come home on leave. When I got out of there, they gave me like 15 days. I couldn't wait to go back, because I wanted to go to when I come back, I went to a new base that had just opened up in Texas, in Kansas. They had closed it after the war. Didn't have a hospital. It had a little dispensary. So I went there, the guy saw what I got. He said, oh man, he said, he sent me down to an army hospital, Fort Riley, in Kansas. And they kept me in there 6 weeks. They gave me penicillin large doses of penicillin, so they were soak. And finally, the doctor. Finally, after that 6 weeks, the doctor says, I don't know what he says, I finally read up on this disease. Here I thought I was being treated, right? He said, I read up on it. He says it's from stress.
Yeah.
Quite surgeon, yeah, I took care of that.
Let's talk about the life in Japan. How
Yeah,
was
yeah.
it? How much were you, what was your rank and how much were you paid?
My rank was initially, I got promoted when I was over there. I got promoted to staff sergeant.
Step sergeant.
Staff sergeant.
And?
My pay, I don't remember. It wasn't very much. When I got
200?
no,
Less than 200?
well maybe it was less than 200. 200 a month.
More than 100?
Yeah, more than that. So I was getting flight pay. When I did, well, let me put it this way. I'm
Yeah.
trying to give you a pay. When I got discharged, later on, after
Yeah.
I'm back and I've been in a while, as a staff sergeant, I was making, I think I was making like $190 a month with flight pay after being 4 years a month, $990 a month. Yeah, I was living good. Don't get me wrong, but
Life was good.
life
Must
was
be
life
good,
was
right?
good.
In
It was
Japan, right?
It was manageable. Well, being in the military, I paid $1 for a carton of cigarettes and stuff like that.
Right.
So it was manageable. Yeah. Life in Japan, I don't know much about it because we were restricted to the base the whole time. Only time we got off the base is when we got a regular an hour rest leave.
R&R. Yeah.
And I went to Tokyo once. I don't remember Tokyo too much, but I went down to southern Japan to a rest resort. They had a rest resort set up for us down there, which was nice. It was down by the water there. I don't know where it was. I don't remember where it was.
How long did it take from your airbase to the Tokyo?
Oh, we were close to Tokyo.
Right? Very
Yeah.
close, right?
We were close to Tokyo.
Yeah.
We were 30, 40 miles from Tokyo.
Okay. What did you like about Japan at the time? Beer?
Yeah. The what? The
Beer.
The beer, Nippon beer. Yeah. I know. The beer was. The beer was all right. I don't remember. I liked Japan. I didn't have any problem with Japan.
You know, I saw the poster, Victory Japan, VJ Day.
Yeah.
Is still observed in Rhode Island. Why is that?
Well, wait a minute now. See, you're distorting it in the sense that that's what it was initially called. Because when the war ended, they had VE Day, which was Victory in Europe.
Yeah.
Then when the finally war come over, they said it was VJ Day. But in essence, it's Victory Day.
Yeah.
We're celebrating the victory of the war, not just in Japan, the war in general. We fought Germany. We fought Germany for a long time over there. So it was a celebration of victory. We celebrate the 4th of July, and nobody in England complains about it. Right?
Yeah, nobody, yes.
Nobody. So I don't understand. It's just Victory Day, you know.
Want to go back to Korea?
Do I want to go back?
Yeah.
Not really. I don't know why. I mean, I like to go anywhere. But I mean, if there's veterans that would rather go back because they served in there, then they should go back, perhaps. You know. I don't know.
Why do you think that the Korean War been known as forgotten?
Because I think it was too soon after the Second World War. People didn't want to hear the word war. They didn't call it a war. They called it a police action. I mean, let's face it, it was 36,000 Americans, 50-some thousand UN forces, and that's who you should count, not just the Americans.
Right.
You had Turks, Greeks, English, Canadians.
21 countries.
Yeah, exactly. So the whole thing should be counted when they say lives lost. Those were lost in 3 years. Vietnam was lost 50-some thousand in 9 years.
Any other message that you want to leave to this interview?
I'm proud I served there. I'm very. I think it was something that I did that was worthwhile. It was something that if the same opportunities, if the same conditions existed today, and I was a young man, I wouldn't hesitate doing something similar to that.